Well, now that I've explained that a little bit, I'm just going to read that whole part again, uninterrupted. The 1,000 injuries of Fortunato I had borne as best I could. But when he ventured upon insult, I vowed revenge. You, who so well know the nature of my soul, will not suppose, however, that I gave utterance to a threat. At length I would be avenged. This was a point definitively settled, but the very definitiveness with which it was resolved precluded the idea of risk. I must not only punish, but punish with impunity. A wrong is unredressed when retribution overtakes its redresser. It is equally unredressed when the avenger fails to make himself felt as such to him who has done the wrong. So he's saying that I'm not going to be stupid and say that I'm going to kill you. I'm just going to kill you when you least expect it. And also, it's not going to be anonymous. No, 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 no. When it happens, you'll know it was me. And you'll regret what you ever did. Again, this guy's crazy. The guy he's pissed off at could have literally looked at him wrong. Could have literally stepped on his coat. Could have literally, like, said, "How do you do?" to his wife. And he would be like, "You're mine, I'm going to kill you now." So we don't know what the guy who's the object of his murderous intentions, we don't know what he is upset over. We don't know what he did. We just know that now he's going to die because of it. I'm just going to pretend there aren't so many ant carcasses just chilling here. Okay. It must be understood that neither by word nor deed had I given Fortunato cause to doubt my goodwill. I continued, as was my wont, to smile in his face, and he did not perceive that my smile was now at the thought of his immolition. So now when I smile at him, "Oh, how do you do? Hi, how are you?" It's not because I'm smiling because I'm happy to see him. It's because I'm thinking that soon he's going to be dead. He had a weak point, this Fortunato. Although in other regards he was a man to be respected and even feared. He prided himself on his connoisseurship in wine. Few Italians have the true virtuoso spirit. For the most part, their enthusiasm is adopted to suit the time and opportunity to practice imposture upon the British and Austrian millionaires. In painting and gimmery, Fortunato, like his countrymen, was a quack. But in the manner of old wines, he was sincere. In this respect, I did not differ from him materially. I was skillful in the Italian vintages myself, and bought largely whenever I could. So he said, this guy, he has one weak point. He loves his wine. But, respect. He knows his wine. He's good at it. And I know my wine, too. I'm pretty good at it. We both are of that virtuoso connoisseurship. It was about dusk one evening, during the supreme madness of the carnival season, that I encountered my friend. He accosted me with excessive warmth, for he had been drinking much. The man wore motley. He had on a tight-fitting party-striped dress, and his head was surmounted by the conical cap and bells. I was so pleased to see him that I thought I should have never done wringing his hand. I said to him, "Oh, my dear Fortunato, you are luckily met. How remarkably well you are looking today. Oh, but I have received a pipe of what passes for Amontillado, and I have my doubts." So he's saying, "Oh, so glad I ran into you. I just bought this big bottle of wine, and it's supposed to be Amontillado, this like super rare wine. Think like it's like the Dom Perignon of champagne, super expensive like wine, but probably more." And he's thinking, this guy, he's going to be so tempted by the fact that I just perfect timing. I wanted that to turn off, and I was like waiting for the sensor to hit. So I have the candles. It's all nice. So he's going to use the idea that he's just gotten into possession of this new, amazing, well, not new, I guess in wine new is bad, old, amazing, vintage wine. And he has a pipe of it. A pipe isn't like a pipe that you smoke. It said it in the pre-reading, but I know that was quick. A pipe is like a big cask. It's a big bottle, a big jar. Okay, so My dear Fortunato, you are luckily met. How remarkably well you are looking today. But I have received a pipe of what passes for Amontillado, and I have my doubts. I said to him, he said, how? Said he. Amontillado? A pipe? Impossible. And in the middle of Carnival? I have my doubts, I replied, and I was silly enough to pay the full Amontillado price without consulting you in the matter. You were not to be found, and I was fearful of losing a bargain. So he's like, the guy, Fortunato, he's like, you found a what? You've got a pipe of Amontillado? C'est impossible. It can't be that. That's super rare. You couldn't have found that. And that then is, a great way to be like, oh no, you want to try it? Should we go figure it out? But he's going to trap his murder victim in the best way possible. When you want to get someone to go somewhere with you, you don't ask them. You get them to ask you, right? You get them to beg you to take them to the place that you want to take them. That's reverse psychology, right? Like, it's actually the smartest way of doing it because it gets them right into your trap. Yes.
But, what if they just don't want
Well,
it?
let's see what happens in the story, because the whole point of the reverse psychology is to make them want it in a way that makes it feel like they thought of it. So he's saying, I found this pipe, I bought this pipe of Amontillado, super, rare, rich wine. Maybe it's fake, Maybe I got swindled. Oh, man. Did I just spend hella money for fake wine? Oh, I really should ask an expert. Do you know of any experts? Wine experts? Oh, you're a wine expert? How fortuitous, right? No, you're busy, Let me ask someone else, right? So he's going to get him to beg to go explore this wine with him. And that's how he's going to trap him. How? Said he. Amontillado? A pipe? Impossible. And in the middle of Carnival? I have my doubts, I replied, and I was silly enough to pay the full Amontillado price without consulting you in the matter. You were not to be found, and I was fearful of losing a bargain. Amontillado. I have my doubts. Amontillado! And I must satisfy them. Amontillado. As you are engaged, I'm on my way to Lucchese. If anyone has a critical turn, it's he. He will tell me, oh, Lucchese cannot tell Amontillado from sherry. And yet some fools will have that it is his taste that is a match for your own. So he's like, no, I won't bother you with testing out this wine. I'm going to go ask my friend Lucchese. Like, a lot of people say he's actually better at judging wines than you are. Right? Again, it's all this reverse psychology, right? Lucchese cannot tell Amontillado from sherry, and yet some fools will have it that his taste is a match for your own. Come, let us go. Whither? To your vaults. My friend, no, I will not impose upon your good nature. I perceive you have an engagement. Lucchese, I have no engagement. Come. My friend, no, it is not the engagement, but the severe cold with which I perceive you are afflicted. The vaults, they're insufferably damp. They're encrusted with niter. Niter is it's like calcium that kind of builds up, but it can it's kind of like mold in that it irritates your lungs and stuff. So he's going to make the guy beg to go down to these catacombs, to these vaults even more, right? First he got him, he piqued his interest with the wine, and now the guy's like, come on, let's go to your vaults, let's go see the wine, because it's like a big wine cellar. And now he's going to be like, no, it's so damp down there, I don't want to hurt you, I don't want to irritate your lungs, you have a cough, you're sick. And so said, my friend, no, it is not the engagement, but the severe cold with which I perceive you are afflicted. The vaults are insufferably damp. They're encrusted with niter. Let us go. Nevertheless, the cold is merely nothing. Amontillado, you have been imposed upon. And as for Lucchese, he cannot distinguish sherry from Amontillado. Thus speaking, Fortunato possessed himself of my arm. Putting on a mask of black silk and drawing a reliquaire closely about my person, I suffered him to hurry me to my palazzo. There were no attendants at home, as they had absconded to make merry in honor of the time. I had told them that I should not return until morning, and had given them explicit orders not to stir from the home. These orders were sufficient, I well knew, to ensure their immediate disappearance, once and all, as soon as my back was turned. I took from their sconces 2 flambeaux, and giving one to Fortunato, bestowed through several suites of rooms to the archway that led into the vaults. I passed down a long and winding staircase, requesting him to be cautious as he followed. We came at length to the foot of the descent, and stood together on the damp ground of the catacombs of the Montresors. The gait of my friend was unsteady, and the bells upon his cap jingled as he strode. So at this point, his friend, he's been drinking. This is Carnival, they're getting lit AF. It's a good time. It's like 3 days of just like crazy partiness. It's the day before Lent starts. And Lent in the Catholic Church, you have to give something up for 40 days. So people will give up like smoking or drinking or other stuff that's not good for you, chocolate or red meat, stuff like that. But the days prior, leading up to Lent, it's like laissez-faire, like everything goes, like do it all, right? You're about to give up smoking, smoke a ton. You're about to give up drinking, drink a ton. You're about to give up eating, eat a ton, or you're like eating bad food or whatever. My mom, she would often give up chocolate or coffee. One year she tried to give up sugar. That did not go well. So give up only what you think you could really give up, because you have to do it for 40 days as part of the Catholic belief. Okay, so because it's that day, Fortunato, who's really not that fortunate, if you think about his name by itself, is kind of ironic, right? In that, like, he is an unfortunate character in the story. But he's already, like, kind of drunk. And he's like, there's more alcohol? It's good alcohol? Let's go. The gait of my friend was unsteady, and the bells upon his cap jingled as he strode. The pipe, said he. It is further on, said I. But observe the white webwork which gleams from these cavern walls. He turned towards me and looked into my eyes with 2 filmy orbs that distilled the rheum of intoxication. So you could tell he's drunk. He's like, they're like not focused. So he's looking, oh, that's cool. Wow, that's awesome. Niter? He asked at length. Niter, I replied. How long have you had that cough? It's funny, pre-COVID, I would go on this whole coughing fit, and we'd be in the room, and I'd be like falling over people's desks, like fake coughing, but now that would be like not appropriate, right? So just like, he has this horrible cough, and it's like hacking, like. My poor friend found it impossible to reply for many minutes. It is nothing, he said at last. Come, I said with decision. We will go back. Your health is precious. You were rich, respected, admired, beloved. You are happy as I once was. You are a man to be missed. For me, it is no matter. We will go back. You will be ill, and I cannot be responsible. Besides, there is Lucchese. Enough, he said. The cough is a mere nothing. It will not kill me. I shall not die of a cough. True. True, I replied. And indeed, I had no intention of alarming you unnecessarily, but you should use all proper caution. A draught of this Medoc will defend us from the damps. Here, I knocked off the neck of a bottle which I drew from a long row of its fellows that lay upon the mold. Drink, I said, presenting him the wine. He raised it to his lips with a leer. He paused and nodded to me familiarly while his bells jingled. I drink, he said, to the buried that repose around us. And I, to your long life. He again took my arm as we proceeded. These vaults, he said, are extensive. The Montresors, I replied, were a great and numerous family. I forget your arms. A huge human foot d'or in a field azure. The foot crushes the serpent rampant, whose fangs are embedded in the heel. Good, he said. Oh, sorry, I skipped a line. And the motto? Nemo me impune licent. Good, he said, and nemo me impune licent is Latin for no one insults me with impunity. So he's saying, Oh, you want to know my family crest? It's a foot crushing snake. Know any snakes? Right? You know, like saying that he's the foot and the person he's talking to is the snake. That idea that the family crest is actually a preview of what is to come, which is Montresor feels like he's been wronged by Fortunato, just like someone who's been bitten by a snake, right? It says a huge human foot d'or, which means of gold in French. In a field azure, which is blue. Why would a field be blue now that I think about it? I don't know. The foot crushes a serpent rampant whose fangs are embedded in the heel. And the motto, so he's really saying that like what is about to happen is what's happening in my family crest. I was born for this. The wine sparkled in his eyes and the bells jingled. My own fancy grew warm with the Meadow. We had passed through the walls of piled bones, with casks and puncheons intermingling into the innermost recesses of the catacombs. I paused again, and this time I made bold to seize Fortunato by an arm above the elbow. The nitre, I say. See, it increases. It hangs upon the moss. It hangs upon the vaults like moss. We are below the river's bed. The drops of moisture trickle among the bones. Come, we will go back ere it's too late. Your cough. It is nothing, he said. Let us go on. But first, another draught of the Meadow. So he's like, let's drink a little more. I broke and reached him a flagon of de Gras. He emptied it at breath. His eyes flashed with a fierce light. He laughed and threw the bottle upwards with a gesticulation I did not understand. So remember I talked about the word gesticulate before. Gesticulate's when you make a movement with your hand that's very, like, dramatic. So he makes a little, like, movement. I looked at him in surprise. He repeated a movement, a grotesque one. We don't know what it was, so he did something with his hands. Do you not comprehend? He said. Not I replied. Then you are not of the Brotherhood. How? You are not of the Masons. Yes, I said. Yes. You? Impossible. A Mason? A Mason, I replied. So, it's funny, because it doesn't really have that much to do with the story, but it sets up him bringing a new tool into the story, and it also really shows how insecure he is. He is, like, insecure AF. It is kind of cringy. This guy makes a gesture, right? Like, say it's like this or something. And he's like, what's that gesture? And the guy's like, you don't know what this means? And he's like, no. But he already is like, uh-oh, like FOMO, like, I want to know what it means. I know what it means. I'm cool. I know everything, right? You've all met someone who's like that, right? So when he's like, you do not comprehend, and not I, then you are not of the Brotherhood. How? Then you are not of the Masons. Yes, I replied. Yes. And so he's like so insecure that he would be thought of to not be part of a group. He's like gonna lie and say he is a Mason when he's not. Why this is funny is also because what happens next is Fortunato is going to be like, oh yeah, you're a Mason? Like, prove it. Because, like, already you didn't know the sign. So, like, how do I know you're a Mason? And Fortunato, he pulls out of his pocket a trowel, a trowel out of his reliquary, which, like, is his coat. And a trowel is like a spade, like what you dig in the dirt with. And he's going to say, like, no, see, I am a Mason. See, I have stuff that you would use for masonry, like that you would use to, like, build a wall. So we know that he actually has different plans for that trowel, but he tries to use that as, like, an excuse. It's kind of like today if, like, they're like, oh, you're not part of the group, and you're about to, like, stab someone, and then you're like, no, see, I am part of the group. Wait, is that the bell?
Yes, that's the bell.
F-
I'm trying to tell you.
Well, no one told me. You didn't try to tell me that hard.
I said it. Oh no.
Okay, so we'll keep reading next class. Hopefully when we can all be outside.